All right, so we have just looked at the example and we have shown you what to do when you are constructing your programs. Another thing I want to quickly look at though is how do we handle strings? Because strings are very important, but if not handled properly, then they can be a source of concern. So let's look at strings. So we have a property here called color, which is a string, and we are using the char star to represent the string. So let's do that over in the code base. So we have the color property, and we now want to set the color. So let's create an operation called void set color. And first of all, let's not take in any inputs, no parameters. So we want to set the color. So let's say that color is equal to blue. Please note that whenever we are dealing with string values, the values need to be enclosed inside the double quotes. So it's double quotes, the value, and then a double quotes again to terminate the value. So we have now set the color to blue, and we are now going to go to the main program. Remember, once the class change, if we want to make use of those new functionality, then we have to modify the main program appropriately. So it's my ball dot the set color operation. Remember, it takes in no inputs. Then I'll just copy line 64 and 65 so that we can show the details. Now, we also need to look inside the show details command. And when we look inside there, we realize that there's no operation or micro operation that talks about displaying the color. So we need to do that. So let's put C out, print operator, color is a space. Then let's put the color property, print operator again, and then the new line, semicolon. So let's execute and see what we obtain by making those changes. And we're seeing here that we are getting a warning. And by the way, please note that warnings are not errors. So programs can execute with warnings, but they cannot execute with errors. And in this case, there's a warning that is talking about the string. So notice that the line that is flagged here is line 51, where we are assigning the color blue or the string blue to the color property. Also, when we have a look down here, we realize that we are not seeing the color being printed. So it simply say color is, and then it is left blank. So that's something that we want to have a look at. So the command says that we are trying to convert a string constant to a char star. So the value by itself, this value by itself, blue, is being seen as a constant value. And what we're trying to do is to convert it so that it can go into a string variable. So I have placed the data type char star inside of parentheses. And by doing that, this is known as typecasting, where I'm converting from one type to a next. So I had a constant, and I want to convert that constant into a string value. So having done that, let's have a look again by executing the program. And you would see that the warning is now gone. For the first set of outputs, though, remember we have it in batches. For the first set of output, when we look at the color, we are seeing some characters that look kind of strange. And remember, we had said that whenever you create variables, they are given values by default. String values, more often than not, whenever you create them, the default value is going to be spaces, so it will be blank. However, there is no such guarantee. As a matter of fact, there's no guarantee about what the default values are going to be in any variable. And that is why it is recommended that you always initialize your variables. So please bear that in mind, because that's something that we're going to talk about later. So for the first two, you notice that we're getting the gibberish. But for the last one, after we have set the color, because it's in the last one that we set the color. Once we have set the color, then we're now seeing it says that the color is blue. So it means that we are using the string variable properly in terms of the set color operation. And we can change it from blue. Let's change it to maybe purple. And we re-execute. All right, so I'm only seeing a portion of my output. Let me re-execute again. All right, so there we go. And what we are looking at right here is the fact that the color has now been changed to purple. Now, once again, if this is the way we leave it, then it means that whenever we use the set color operation, then it means that the color is always going to be purple. That's not how we want it to be. We want it to operate in a similar manner to set radius, where we are able to pass in the value for ourselves and have that value being a part of the class. So it therefore means that we are going to modify set color so that it takes in an input. And in this case, the input is going to be a string input char star. And let's call it C for color. And let us assign the value C, or the variable C, to the color property. Once we have done that, then it means that we now need to change the main program. So inside of the set color operation, we will now indicate what color we want to accept as input. And in this case, I'm accepting the value red as the input. Now, I just want to focus on line 68 going down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment out some of the lines that I don't need or that I want to hide. And I'm going to use this symbol here. So this combination starts the comment. And when I reverse it, it will end the comment. So you note that between line 61 to 69, it kind of look green, which means that those elements have been commented out. So they are not in the program. So what I'm focusing on, therefore, is trying to set the color to red and then show details. Because the set radius is commented out, then it means that I won't be seeing 103 for the radius, because that is not going to be a part of the execution as this program executes. So let's click on run. Once again, we are seeing the warning, and it's the same consideration. It's looking at the value red here as being a a constant, and we would actually need to convert it to the char star data type or to a string data type. Having said that, though, please note that the color is still red. So the program is working. It's just that we would need to get rid of the warning. And we can try the same thing that we did earlier, where we typecast and then we execute again. And now you realize that the warning is gone and the color is red. Note that the radius is 0 because, as we mentioned earlier, we had not set the radius. And the ball is not inflated because we have not called the inflate command, which means that the default value inside the has air property is going to be false. So you have seen a little bit of how to manipulate strings. And we have done this by using the built-in data type char star in C++, which represents string. However, because strings are a bit challenging to work with, there is a library that has been provided by the language that allows us to manipulate strings. So instead of using char star, we're going to include another library. So include, and this library is called string. And by doing that, we can replace char star, get rid of char star, and instead of char star, we use string. So that's what I'm going to do now. So the property color is now string, the keyword string, and string is found inside the string library. So if there's no string library included, then we cannot get access to this data type called string. So in other words, this data type called string is not a primitive. It's a non-primitive. All right, so I now need to go and update the set color command. So instead of char star, remember I'm now using string. Let me get rid of this message here. I talk about typecasting. And let me get rid of the typecasting here in line 73. Let's say white, color is white. And let's execute and see what happens. And now you're seeing that I don't need to use typecasting, which is adding one more layer of complexity into the program. I'm not getting any warnings. The color has been updated to white. And if we change it to red, and we re-execute, then it works perfectly. So color is red. So the recommendation here is make use of the string library so that you can get access to the string data type that can be used, because it will simplify the process and make your work as a programmer in C++ that much smoother. All right, so that's it for this session. And please look out for the next one.